Are you sure? We reserve this for you. Can you please just because it's a bit dark there. You're happy? I'm worried if you're gonna be because we're recording this. So the lighting, it's a bit dark there. But I'll check with the camera guys. Okay. All right, as promised, thank you so much for making your time on this beautiful morning. And for those who had prepared to be with us last week and who are with us now again this week, thank you so much. My name is Nanumu Tibi. I'm the Marketing and Communication Manager for the Gauteng. And we are really going to try and run through this, but remember, we are doing this for you. So we on our side, we're gonna try and move, but it stops you from asking the questions that you need to ask or getting the clarity that you need to get, because this is a once in a year opportunity. And most of you will know that the call out is currently open. We've extended it to accommodate this session so that at least when we're done with this session, you can be able to apply. So use this opportunity as much as you can. Some of the guys have already started asking us to help them with the applications outside. We were helping a few of you. So go through, the website now. Just try and familiarize yourself with it so that even the questions that you ask, they are already in line with the challenges that you are facing in terms of your application. But I'm not going to preempt my presenters' presentations. I'm just prepping you so that by the time they come here, you use them to their utmost efficiency and to your utmost advantage. So today's, we are here for the Compliance and Awareness Campaign of the Gauteng Film Commission, or the GFC. And I hope you have had breakfast. There was breakfast that was served. I hope some of you have seen where the bathrooms are. Just as you walk out this door, there's a male and female bathroom. And any other housekeeping and announcement we'll make along the way. Please do keep your phones on silent, even though as you're perusing the website and the application, just keep it on silent so that we don't get ourselves disturbed. Fourthly, we are streaming on Facebook and Instagram. And where else are we streaming? On YouTube. So we're hoping we have consent. If there's anybody that's not comfortable with their face being on the stream, please let us know now. We're in line with the POPIA Act. But just so you know, that's the disclaimer and declaration that we're making, that this will be streamed, so your faces will be out there. And but also please like, share, and spread this live stream, because a lot of people are not able to come here, and that's why we've made these per corridor. So we're having one here in Pretoria. We'll be having another one in the West Rand, in the South, and in the East, so that at least we are able to reach the people. So that's another reason why we apologize for starting late, because some of our countries and our province is even bigger. So some of the people, although we are here in Pretoria, in Tshwane Central, some people are coming from Hammanskraal, some people are coming from Beirut, some people are coming from the other side of Korea. So it's a very vast space that we're trying to cover, because we can't always afford to we can't go to Hammanskraal, then go to Beirut, then go to Mamelodi, then go to Atteridgeville. So we try and centralize it, but what it means is that we have to find ways to accommodate each other. So we had organized transport for here, and Joburg traffic is Joburg traffic, but I believe they have arrived. They're just making their way up the building, so they'll only miss my welcome and introduction. So at this point, if we all on the same page, if my technical guys are happy for us to start, we are good to go. I'd like at this point to please call our acting CEO, Mr. Mac Mohoba, who will do the opening and welcome address. Thank you. Please give him a hand.
Thank you. We are going to try and move speedily with the program. Thank you once again for everyone making the time and ensuring that you are indeed part and parcel of this session. I'm just going to talk, I think Nano has indeed shared just some of the overview in terms of the objective, but let me just zoom into the key elements of why we're having this session. Over the past 3 years, we as the GFC, maybe let me just start with just a brief snippet, just 2 minutes on the GFC and its services, so that we can converse, because I do believe there's a number of stakeholders who might be coming from different creative industries, elements such as the professional actors and so forth, and that's why we've got stakeholders who will be talking on your behalf and sharing some insights. When we received applications as the GFC, I did indicate that I will just share briefly on what we do. So the Gauteng Film Commission is really entrusted in doing and promoting Gauteng as the preferred destination to shoot productions, as well as obviously grow the industry. We know that there's a number of broadcast facilities within the region, but what we are lacking, I think, is ensuring that we've got competitive talent or content that can really grow beyond our borders. As such, the GFC provides grant funding on an annual basis. We have 2 cycles. Nanu just spoke about the current call that's open. We have 2 cycles, and from April up until September. That's the 2 quarters of the year, where we take applications from production, your feature films, your content for TV, your skills development, which is also between non-accredited and accredited. So it's your master classes, as well as your workshops that we implement across the region. Furthermore, we also have enterprise development. This is where we provide equipment up to the value of 80,000. So we've got different equipment packages. And as part of this call that's coming out, we are also encouraging you to apply for drone equipment, production and editing related equipment, as well as animation package. So we really encourage different types of our creatives have got the need and who obviously can motivate as to why they need that equipment. So that is in a nutshell what the GFC does. We also coordinate productions. So we've got a locations office. We've also got a one-stop shop service where we're also profiling services that you might have as a industry service provider, whether it is in the equipment side, whether it's on the transport side, whether it's and various. So in terms of locations, we do have Priscilla, our locations officer, with us today, who afterwards, if you do have challenges, she works as well with the city of Tshwane and various local authorities so that you are able to get permits on time, because that's also a challenge. And that's why we're also in this session, is to say, please apply on time, make sure that your application is got the necessary information and is obviously compliant with the CSD and other requirements that are, and tax and other requirements that are needed. Just in brief, what the GFC does, I think you're also able to see as part of our show reel, just some of the projects that we have been able to support. Coming into today's session, we're really here to say we've noticed that when we receive over 300 applications, 500 applications, some of those applications don't get to the completed stage. And what do I mean by that? You will start your application on our grant system, and then you will upload, for instance, your company documents, your tax, and then at some point you hit a hurdle and you're not able to complete. And then this then leaves saying, we could have really had, maybe you indeed have got a strong proposal that you wanted to put forward, but now if you're not able to complete, we're not able to shortlist you, we're not able to adjudicate accordingly. Let me just share some brief stats that we have over the years as indicated. In 2023-2024, we had a total of 371 applications that started as indicated. And only 198 got to be submitted. Of those, 68 were compliant, which means 105 were non-compliant. A very big, staggering cost. And then we are trying to say, let's bridge that gap to make sure that we have more applications that indeed we can review adequately, and adjudicated and recommended by our independent panel of judges. In this overhead, I could give you stats from the last year as well in 2020, but let me move to 2025, this first quarter that we just concluded. We had 577 applications that started. Indeed, also, some of these applications were not from Tshwane, and that's why we're specifically targeting Tshwane, the West Rand, as well as the South, which is Sidibeng region. Of the 577, not get to the finish and submit. Of those who submitted, 180 were non-compliant. So we had about 224 that ultimately submitted, 180 were non-compliant, and only 44 got to the stage of adjudication. That's why we're saying when you receive now a letter of outcome to say you did not get to be adjudicated because you're non-compliant, at least you would have been able to submit. But we're saying we want to get more people, more applicants, more creative to get to the final stages. I think I've outlined the seriousness or the magnitude of why you need to indeed take this process, which is very important for you to be successful. And that's why we are indeed engaging with you, and we are going to be sharing with you some insights on the GFC side, but also we felt we needed to also extend this as with awareness and roadshow. Our stakeholders, which are our industry bodies, we've got Animation SA, which will be represented by Ms. Isabel Rock. She will be sharing some insights as to what they're doing within the animation space, what are the developments, what are the challenges, and also what are the opportunities. And then we have Ms. Nambita Mpumlane, who is a well-known actress and who also is an advocate for the rights of actors and practitioners in the creative space. And she will be just sharing insights about what the South African Guild of Actors and the advocacy role that they're doing, and also how both those who are in front of the camera, behind the camera, need to really work together to ensure that indeed they they are able to produce the best content, but that comes with shared responsibility and also shared outcomes and shared. Yeah, I won't steal your thunder, my sister. All right, that is all that I'd like to share at this point. I will come in a bit later. This is really supposed to be an inter-session. Please be attentive. We will be asking questions. My dear colleague, Ms. Nanomo TV, will be, I'm sure, as the different speakers come forward, will be posing questions, and would like to make sure that you are able to respond, and you might just get a surprise at the end of that Q&A. So thank you. That is all I'd like to say on behalf of the GFC. Welcome. And I hope that indeed you will be actively participate and also get some learnings on some of the key elements that you need to focus on when you're completing your applications. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I'm just going to request that we, okay, I'm just going to allow our final batch of colleagues to just come. Please just try and come forward so that you can be able to get the best of the audio. So I'm just going to ask, once our last batch has come in, maybe can we keep the door closed? And then if it happens that maybe there's a nature call, an emergency, a reason why you need to go out, please, as you go out, make sure you close the door behind you, because this is meant to be a very informative session. So we are avoiding a situation where people are distracted and it's noisy and they don't get the best out of the workshop. Then also the second thing, we'll ask you to stay the course, because at the end of the workshop, that's when we're actually going to try and do a practical session where we assist everyone, we go through the application together, but we want to at the end when you all have the background. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our first speaker for the day, which is Ms. Isabel Rock, who is the executive producer Animation SA. So those of us, I know some of you were just like introduced to this, you don't know much about what this is about, what filming is about. So there's many different components on film, and one of the biggest one that Meg, I'm sure would have touched upon, the lowest applications, that some of the lowest applications we get are on animation, and that's where our focus we would like it to be as a country, because we feel that's where young people get to be creative. We feel that there's a lot of potential from a gaming point of view and so many other aspects of animation. So that is why today we have Ms. Isabel, Ms. Rock, to come and assist us in terms of giving us a bit more background into Animation SA. Please just give her a beautiful warm hand.
Good morning, everyone. I am not an executive producer for Animation SA. I head up social impact and human capital innovation for Animation SA. Animation SA is a volunteer-driven organization which has been around for, it's almost 2 decades now. The founding members when I first started an animation studio in my 20s, because we saw that there were many bodies that were representing live action and nobody was representing animation. And we had to make sure that we had a place at the table, that our voices were heard, and that our particular needs for the animation industry were met. And that was the vision around creating Animation SA. Unfortunately, it had many challenges that we have since overcome. And when I came back into the organization about 8 years ago, I essentially made the mandate to be all about transformation because it was still a male-driven organization and white male particularly. So we put a huge focus on it being animation, on transformation. So yeah, we're a non-profit company, and we changed from being an NGO to a profit company because it's a lot simpler and easier. We're able to implement a lot more quicker our initiatives. We have a completely diverse board from around the country. Unfortunately, still only Western Cape, KZN, and Gauteng, which is mainly where animation is represented, but we got a nice mix of both all the different races and genders. So essentially, we're dedicated to representing the interests of the animation, gaming, and VFX. Gaming is very new for animation. They were struggling to get representation in terms of transformation and the inclusion of Black people in. And so Animation made a space, Animation SA made a space for gaming in there. VFX has always been part of our mandate. Even if you're in the live action industry, you have to start understanding how VFX comes into your films. With the advances in technology and animation, there are so many things that we can now do that you don't have to shoot. And now it's extending into virtual production studios. Ooh, this is sliding off. Virtual production studios where, with the advances in technology, it literally can all be done indoors. So you don't have to worry about the weather, the lighting, and the sun going down and clouds coming. So yeah, it's definitely an industry. As a filmmaker, you should have at least some kind of understanding of it. So we've essentially been championing for the animation industry, ensuring that we have representatives. I'm going to go to the slide around, so yeah, our vision is to create conditions necessary to foster a globally competitive, sustainable, and transformed animation, gaming, and VFX industry. Our main pillars are lobbying. So lobbying being, fighting for our rights in government, in labor. We've been trying to fight for freelancers' labor rights. I don't know if you understand the challenges that freelancers go through in terms of not having representation in labor. And then, of course, the minister changed, and then we had to start all over again. So it's an ongoing fight. To the DTI rebate was only made for live action, and we had to fight to ensure that animation had its specific specifications for animation, and still there were challenges with it, which we've been, ongoing trying to deal with. To working on the white paper with Department of Arts and Culture, to inputting on growth strategies, designing growth strategies for and helping them with creating an enabling environment for animation to grow. We did a growth strategy for KZN, and now they're starting to implement their first incubator. And so at least they have a pathway around how they can create this enabling environment. So as you can see with lobbying, it's a massive task. And our ex-chairman, Nick Kluter, headed up that, and it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of legal documents. And I'm pretty impressed that as a volunteer organization, 2 decades. So on that note, I volunteer to your industry bodies. The only way we change industries, the only way we get our rights changed and advance our industries is if we volunteer, even if it's just to write copy or to, answer phones or update the website. Just any little thing helps to tick it over and help it go forward. So research is another area. Research is critical in us understanding, because the animation industry had never been researched before. It was important for me to get data to be able to know what is the situation we're dealing with, that we're not making assumptions, and that we design our interventions and our strategies according to that research. And we've since been able to implement some amazing programs as a result of having that research. A lot of it is outdated. Getting research funding is very difficult, but it's one of those things that has to be ongoing, especially now in the era of AI. We need more data around what is and how do we need to design interventions to address the potential job losses that may come from that. And then skills development, this is mainly where I operate. So within the unit of social impact and human capital innovation, well, actually, let me talk to that in the next slide. And then, of course, market access. We send 20 producers a year to international film festivals. We have a big stand in which we create a space for them to hold meetings, to have their on the stand represented on the stand. We create a producer's booklet with all of their work represented. Essentially, we market the countries that are represented in South Africa, ensure that they have a platform, even if they're released in the book, they're on SnapScan on our stand, so they at least have some presence there that markets them and makes the world aware of their presence. So our online presence is one of the biggest kind of growth areas for us. We have about 30,000 members on our Facebook social page. And that page, even if you're a filmmaker, it is a great page to join because you're talking about all animators for South Africa. And one of the great things about that site is that everybody looks after each other and shares and asks for information, whether it's, you know, what's the best machine to use for Blender, or can you look at my rig and let me know what problems. You can get any answers from that community. They all support each other and help each other. Or I'm looking for an animator to do X, Y, and Z. I've only got this budget. Would it? So it's a really great group support kind of platform. And then, of course, we have on all of the other website, we've tried to make it as just as possible. It developed most recently a repository where we try to put up documents and templates that our young SMMEs may need, so that we just make it a little bit easier for them. Because as an organization dedicated to creating and enabling an environment for the industry to grow, we've constantly got to look at what are the different interventions we can put in place to help grow the industry. So to get back to my unit, which is social impact and human capital innovation, so it used to be called skills development and transformation. And I changed it because I feel like skills development is an old school construct and we need to evolve on the education space. Being stuck in an archaic way of thinking, and if we keep using old words, we'll keep stuck in that. And for me, putting in the term human innovation allows us to look at how do we make it human-centric and how do we make sure that we're innovating in that space. And then, of course, having social impact was really important for me because we make sure that we do not forget that there are those who are disadvantaged in township and rural areas. It's very difficult for us to unfortunately penetrate into, but definitely we can within township areas. One of the innovations that interventions that we're implementing is in Kliptown, where we're developing young kids in animation. We started at 5 years old until about 11. And we discovered the sweet 9 years olds. Those 9-year-olds blew our minds. Like, it confirmed to us, one, that the education system is dumbing down to children. They're capable of so much more. These kids, we then, when we brought in the teenagers age group, we let the 9-year-olds teach the teenagers, and they knew everything from the science of. And what we discovered in the teaching of animation in townships is that it starts to address the skills of the future of work. Problem solving, critical thinking, analytical thinking, teamwork, innovation industry. They've built a brain and a way of thinking that makes them capable of being successful in whatever they do. Whether it's engineering to accounting, creativity will always be a valuable thing in what you do. So, you know, in trying trying to lobby government to get them to make these kinds of massive changes in the education system. We need to prove the model. So we're currently refining the model, iterating it. We're now bringing in Train the Trainers, which we've just done this year, and essentially trying to create the model so that it's replicatable in each township, where we can, implement those skills. Because for me, what I'm finding in the kids coming out of the animation schools are businesses, and they are, what is the... Keep me on track because I'm not aware of the time. So what we're finding is that the kids coming out of the animation schools, and I deal with them quite, because I've been doing internships since my first studio in the early 2000s, just exposed my age. And what we find is that the schools just take in kids who can pay school fees, which is very heartbreaking for those parents who invested in those kids going in, because they're our first into the industry, is those parents. And actually, animation is slightly an elitist industry. You must have access to a computer and some technology and be a little bit technologically savvy. And you must have been doing art. And yes, you can get by in the animation industry without being an artist. You can be a technology manipulator, but you're never going to be the creative that can work up to earning 150,000 Rand being an art director and being able to broaden out into the higher areas of animation. You're always, because the reality is animation is a creative factory line. That pipe, you're a rigger, you're a modeler, you're a compositor, etc. It's a factory pipeline. And so the kids coming in, if we can spread the township outreach, we have changed the word outreach, township impact program that we run, and ensure that it's in every township in South Africa, and build that critical film solving, because that's what's lacking in the kids coming out of the schools, is animation requires you to be a critical thinker, analytical thinker, problem, because there's constantly problems in the animation process. And so it's those who are those thinkers, which unfortunately come from that are then able to progress faster in the industry. So the initiatives that we have implemented in my unit is incubators. So when COVID came, I was asked by Gauteng Economic, of all the kind of cradle to grave strategy that I designed, what is the most impactful that will be able to create jobs and grow the industry at the fastest rate? And I said incubate, because that's where there were no incubators for animation studios. And I had to innovate on how we designed it once during COVID, so we can't even be in person. So it had to become an online incubator. And so we selected, and then also an incubator, because government is very obsessed with young people and creating jobs for young people and opportunities. And I said, my research shows that entrepreneurs succeed most in their 40s, the majority of them. Young people just burn money. They're still learning the painful lessons of how to do things properly and to gain discipline that it takes. So investing in get Charlize Theron's thread of hair out of her face. And so these exchanges are important, especially for the film industry. And I wish more women please walk into those sessions. We bring in world-class speakers, and there's just so much to learn in those sessions. Fundraising is one of the challenges, finding the right fundraiser. It's somehow a skill that's lacking in the industry. So I've pretty much been fundraising for the past 7 years for the organization. As I mentioned, gaming is new. Our new chairman, Rolida Gunda, heads up gaming. So if you ever want to the rate of scaling is on the top 3 reasons businesses shut down. And with animation, you're usually starting as a 2-man show, and then next thing you get funding for your production and you're a 50, 60-man show, person show, same man. And so we used internships as a scaling strategy. So each one of them were given various interns. In the beginning, it started off with just like 2 or 3 interns. And then we helped leapfrog the very advanced SMMEs and production. And it was a game changer for them. Learning human people, contracting, space, teas and coffees, the little things, toilet paper. So all of that just helped prepare them for that growth. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. And because it was the first time it was done, we constantly had to iterate and